The bright lights of Hollywood shimmered with a certain electric anticipation as the cameras began to roll. It was a day for celebration, for laughter, and for the simple, enduring joy of human connection. From Hollywood, it was the Newlyweds game, a stage where love was both the contestant and the prize. The air in the studio was thick with excitement as the announcer introduced the stars of the day. There were 4 couples, each at a different milestone of their brand new lives together. First, there was Andrea and Jason Wakefield, who had exchanged their rings just 2 months ago. Then came Faith and Eddie Hecht, who had recited their vows 7 months ago. They were joined by Hope and Todd Evans, who had also been together for 7 months. Finally, Corinne and William Pulliam stepped into the spotlight, having made their union official 13 months ago. The audience erupted in cheers as the star of the Newlywed game, Bob Eubanks, made his grand entrance. He greeted the crowd with a warm, familiar energy that immediately put everyone at ease. He welcomed the 4 couples, his voice filled with a genuine enthusiasm for the game ahead. He explained the rules with a practiced clarity. The ladies were to be escorted to a soundproof room, leaving the husbands on stage to face the first round of questions. In this round, each husband would provide an answer and predict if his wife would give the same response when she returned. Each match was worth 5 points, and every point brought them closer to the dream of a fabulous second honeymoon. With the ladies safely tucked away, Bob turned his attention to the gentlemen. He asked them to look at the monitor, where pictures of the 4 wives were displayed. The first question was a playful test of perception. Which of these women would your wife say is the toughest wife? Bob walked the men through the photos one by one. Wife number 1, then number 2, number 3, and finally wife number 4. William was the first to speak. He pointed to wife number 3, noting that she looked quite mean and had actually scared him a bit. Eddie, the husband of wife number 3, nodded in agreement. He admitted that he knew his wife well and confirmed that she was indeed the tough one of the group. Jason, however, had a different take. He chose wife number 4, recalling a moment earlier in the day when he saw her setting William straight. Todd followed Jason's lead, also selecting wife number 4 as the toughest. The questions continued, shifting to a more light-hearted observation of physical traits. Bob asked the men at which specific part of their wife's legs the perfect 10 theory began to fall apart. Jason went first, choosing her quads, explaining that she often complained about that part of her body. Todd took a more humorous route, mentioning his wife's feet. He insisted she was a beautiful woman, but her feet were just not a 10. William followed with a choice of his wife's thighs, though he admitted he was a bit out of his depth discussing the intricacies of his wife's anatomy. Eddie rounded out the group by also choosing his wife's feet, jokingly claiming they were size 11 and larger than his own. After a brief pause for a playful Halloween-themed message, the show returned with a burst of energy. Bob revealed a surprise twist to determine the truly toughest wife. Instead of just guessing, the wives were going to settle it with an arm wrestling contest. The ladies returned to the stage, and the competition began. Wife number 1 faced off against wife number 4, with the winner moving on. Then wife number 2 took on wife number 3. The energy in the studio was infectious as the audience cheered. In a display of unexpected strength, wife number 3 emerged as the champion, earning herself a color television. Now came the moment of truth as the husband's predictions were put to the test. Bob asked Hope who her husband thought was the toughest. She guessed wife number 3, but Todd had actually predicted wife number 4. Andrea also guessed number 3, missing Jason's prediction of wife number 4. Faith, however, was perfectly in sync with Eddie. She guessed wife number 3, matching his prediction exactly and earning them 5 points. Corinne guessed number 4, but William had chosen wife number 3. The game moved to the question about the perfect 10 theory. Faith guessed her thighs, but Eddie had said her feet. Corinne and William found their first match, as both agreed on her thighs. Hope also chose her thighs, missing Todd's answer of her feet. Andrea guessed her thighs as well, while Jason had specified her quads. The husbands were then moved offstage, and it was the wives' turn to predict their husbands' responses to 10-point questions. The first question asked which trait the husband would admit was his least sexy feature: his voice, his chest, his butt, or his hair. Faith chose her husband's butt, while Andrea, Hope, and Corinne all predicted their husbands would choose their chests. Corinne even added a humorous detail about her husband's chest being sunken in while his stomach poked out. The next question delved into the husband's passion for sports, asking during which sports season they became the most sexually aroused. Andrea confidently chose baseball, describing her husband as a true fan. Hope chose football, citing the excitement of the tackling. Corinne went with basketball, joking that she could stand in front of the television and he wouldn't even notice. Faith also chose baseball, noting it was her husband's favorite sport. The final 10-point question was a creative one. If you were a man for one full day, what would your husband say is the first thing you would go out and do? Hope thought she would go watch a football game with the guys at a bar. Corinne imagined herself painting the town red and partying all day. Faith chose a more adventurous path, imagining herself driving a large semi-truck. Andrea's answer was the most practical and brought a roar of laughter from the crowd. She said she would go into a men's restroom because there was never a line. To finish the round, Bob asked a 25-point bonus question. In one word, how will your husband say he likes his pork? Corinne said barbecued. Faith guessed well. Andrea said ribs, and Hope said Mexican. With the predictions recorded, the husbands returned to the stage. Bob started with the least sexy feature. Jason chose his hair, missing Andrea's guess of his chest. Eddie, however, matched Faith perfectly by choosing his butt. William chose his chest, matching Corinne's prediction. Todd chose his butt, while Hope had guessed his chest. Moving to the sports season, Eddie matched Faith's prediction of baseball. William also chose basketball, but the card revealed a different answer. Todd chose baseball, missing Hope's guess of football. Jason and Andrea found a match with baseball, both agreeing it was the season that turned him on the most. The question of being a man for a day proved to be a challenge. William guessed his wife would smoke a cigarette, missing her answer of partying. Todd guessed shopping, while Hope had said watching football. Jason guessed sitting around and watching a game, missing Andrea's clever answer about the restroom. Eddie guessed a baseball game, missing Faith's dream of driving a truck. The tension mounted as the announcer described the prize for the winning couple, a luxurious trip to the Hotel Cabo San Lucas in Mexico. It was a paradise of white sand beaches and elegant dining, the perfect setting for a second honeymoon. Finally, the 25-point bonus question was addressed. Bob asked the husbands how they liked their pork. Todd said cooked, while Hope had said Mexican. Jason said barbecued, matching Andrea's answer of ribs in spirit, but not in word. Eddie said ribs, but Faith had said well. William said cooked, while Corinne had said barbecued. The scores were tallied, and it was a close race. To break the tie, Bob looked at the predictions each couple had made before the show about their final score. The couple closest to their actual score without going over would be the winners. After a moment of calculation, it was revealed that Eddie and Faith had come the closest to their score. The studio was filled with applause as Eddie and Faith were declared the winners of the fabulous second honeymoon. Bob Eubanks congratulated all the couples, his voice warm with the spirit of the game. He thanked the audience and the participants for a day filled with laughter and heart. As the music swelled and the couples celebrated their newfound memories, the show came to a joyful close, leaving everyone with a sense of the wonderful, unpredictable, and always entertaining journey of marriage.